State media in Algeria say that the country's president, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, will resign by the 28th of April, the date on which his time in office is due to expire. He's been in power for 20 years and had intended to run for a fifth term, but this was bitterly opposed by protesters who've demonstrated week after week. Olivier Guitta is Managing Director of Global Strat, a geopolitical risk and security consultancy firm and an expert on Algeria. I asked Olivier how substantial and widespread these protests in Algeria have been.
Those have been the largest protests in Algeria in over 30 years. I mean, we're talking about 1 million just in Algiers and a few 100,000 in all the cities across the country. I think it's a wake-up call for the regime that is trying to hang on as much as possible to power, and what we're going to see in the next few weeks is really going to trigger either a jump towards a real democracy or just the regime trying to clang on, if you will.
Because we shouldn't assume, should we, that just because Mr. Bouteflika says he's going to go, and he's going to go within that constitutional period before his clock actually runs out, it doesn't mean that he's going to be succeeded by a democratically elected government, does it necessarily?
Exactly. I mean, remember since 1962 and the independence from France, Algeria has been almost a one-party nation ruled at first by Marxists and has never gone through any fair and free elections in all of their history. So it is likely that what's going to happen with the new transition is going to be piloted directly by the new prime minister. The head of the election committee is also a man of the regime. So there's no reason, in a way, if the system is not changed from within, that the Bouteflika clan is not going to come up with a new man that they'll put in place and that could rule for another 20 years, if you see what could happen. So the main issue is to get free and fair elections, and that's what the street is demanding.
And what are the available sort of mechanisms for making sure that Algeria gets to a free and fair election?
Honestly, it's gonna take a while because of a couple of things. Like all dictatorship, Bouteflika was very good at taming down the opposition. So the people that were part of the quote-unquote opposition were not really opponents. So there needs to be time for civil society to emerge, for some political leaders to come. And that's why you've seen time and again the demonstrators saying we don't want anyone that has been tainted with being close to Bouteflika, and we not want basically new blood. But this new blood cannot be found really in just a matter of weeks or months, which is exactly what the election schedule is coming to pass.
And what about the role of the military? Is there any incentive for the army to see that elections are free and fair?
Unfortunately, if you see the strongman now is Gaid Salah, the head of the army, that basically turned his back on Bouteflika and called for him to resign. There's no real reason why the army would lose its power and its grandeur, if you want, to try to go with free and fair elections. Because what has happened in the past 18 months, Bouteflika and the people behind him were extremely smart at purging within the army all the generals in their 50s or 60s that were trying to change things from within. So the man that is now the strong man, if you want, Gaid Salah, is 79 years old. Is part of the old clan, and he has purged all the people that were against the regime. So I unfortunately think that it's going to take a while to get to that stage of free and fair elections.
Mm-hmm.
The main issue is how violent will it be to get there? And then that's what concerns me the most at this time.
Does this then mean that the people are going to stay out? They're going to stay out on the streets and continue to protest?
Oh, yes. They are adamant on not wanting anything less than free and fair elections, and not having anyone from the old clan to basically be a successor to Bouteflika, and that's where we're going to see the power shift will go, because if you think about it, Bouteflika has been out of the game since 2013 when he had that major stroke. He hasn't been able or seen speaking since 2013. So it's been a triumvirate that has been running the country. His brother, Saïd Bouteflika, the head of the army, Gaïd Salah, and also the head of the security services, General Tartag. So those three men couldn't agree on finding a successor to Bouteflika for the past 6 years. There's no reason they're going to agree in just a few weeks on a possible successor, which will be anyway refused by the demonstrators.